Right, welcome to this population and migration little revision session. This is for EDEXCEL, obviously looking at Birmingham. Now, as you can see from all these different headlines, the UK is being affected by movements within the country, so national migration and international migration. And the UK population is expected to top 70 million, within about the next 10 years now. So migration is a very important process shaping the UK nationally and internationally, and therefore it's obviously going to affect the second biggest city in the UK. Now, if we were looking at a population, we need to think about what different ways that population could be affected, and how we understand population. So, what questions we would ask to help give us a better understanding of, population of a city like Birmingham. I'm just going to throw in a few different facts about Birmingham. It's got quite a large population. It's growing to about 1.1 million people. It's grown about 100,000 since about 2001. There's roughly 2.56 people per household compared to 2.46 in 2001. This is all based on census information, so lots more people are having children perhaps because it's quite a young population maybe. As you can see, the age group with the biggest increase was 20 to 24-year-olds. Now this is mainly because that's the student age group, and there's a huge amount of students in Birmingham. I think it's around 70,000. And in 2011, there was an extra 1,000 people aged 90 plus compared to 2001. So there is also an aging element of the population. So we should understand that, yes, it's a young population, but also there are lots of older generation people maybe retiring in this city as well. So all these facts are true. Now, if we look at this graph, we can see that there was a dip in 2002 in the population, roughly 2000 and 2001 area. But there is going to be a significant increase by 2032. It's going to be over 1.2 million, maybe more closer to 1.25 million. This suggests that the population is growing, and this means that either people are moving to the city or more people are being born. So there's either a natural increase or unnatural increase in Birmingham's population. Now, if we look at this is a population pyramid. This demonstrates that, again, the largest age group is the student age group. So this migration of students, this national migration, international migration of students into the city is really affecting the overall age pyramid of Birmingham, which is significant. Also, it's got a reasonably big group of 0 to 5-year-olds. It shows that lots of babies are being born in the city, so there is a young population there. But also, you can see at the top, right at the top, there are lots of people aged 75 plus as well. So it shows people, there is an aging population in the city as well. Third graph shows different religions. We've got an underrepresentation against the national average of Christian people, but there's a significant Muslim population, which is above average in Birmingham. Sikh and Hindus are all above average as well, which demonstrates there's lots of migration from maybe South Asian and Middle Eastern countries potentially, which is significantly above average in all those categories. And there are lots more people who say they're not non-religious compared to the British average is above Birmingham. So there is a significant amount of people who consider themselves religious in Birmingham. Mainly, your Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, and Hindus are the biggest four. Now, ethnicity in Birmingham. The greatest ethnicities are again white British, but there is a significant amount of Pakistani, Indian, white other, Caribbean, and other ethnicities. So it does show that even though white British is the main ethnicity in Birmingham, there is a huge wide range of ethnicities, which shows a kind of diverse community, which again demonstrates, the migration into the city over time. Now, this is a map showing where most students live, and you can kind of tell that the students have migrated to the kind of central areas of Birmingham. These tend to be the cheapest ones. They're the ones that have been affected by deindustrialization, and which means that those areas are quite poor and therefore quite cheap to live in and quite central, so they're easy to get to university from. So therefore, these areas are very heavily influenced by the student migration into the area. And then on the opposite side, we see that most people aged 65 plus in Birmingham are located in the suburbs and rural urban fringe, so further out away from the inner city areas. This is because there's pull factors to live out there. You know that it's much more comfortable, greener, quieter, and good places to retire for older people. They don't want to live in more polluted inner city areas that have potentially more crime and a lower environmental quality. And then lastly, we can definitely see that this is the population who do not speak English in Birmingham. These are your international migrants that have come to the city, and they're mainly settling in the central area as well. These are cheaper areas because migrants will often not come with huge amounts of money and potentially will have to settle in the kind of the cheaper areas of the city, in inner city areas. So you can definitely see that. The more suburban areas have a less than half city average in English, non-English speakers. So that's a very important fact as well. Lots of them are moving into these inner city areas, and they'll be shaping those inner city areas. Trying to build places of worship, restaurants with their own cuisine, and lots of other things. Shops that are focused around these migrant populations, and therefore they'll be shaping the way these inner city areas look, making them more diverse. So, just a quick rundown of what we know. Most students live in the inner city areas. Most non-English speakers live in the inner city areas. These are some examples. Edgbaston and Selly for students, and Sparkbrook and Washwood Heath for your non-English speakers. Now, most elderly people live in the suburbs. Sutton Four Oaks, for reasons discussed previously, it's much quieter, cleaner, maybe less busy, less traffic, and much more appealing to your older generation. And lots of migration from around the world is causing the population in Birmingham to grow, and high number of births. This might be down to the fact that migrant populations and city populations tend to have a younger age, and therefore are more likely to be at childbearing age, and therefore the population will grow. And obviously there's a large student population, which means that the population grows because of that influx of migrants, national migrants in the form of students to those inner city areas. Now, we've got a whole range of reasons for international migration and national migration, and then we've got some impacts. You've got your international migration in the 50s from the Caribbean, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, to fill jobs that people didn't want. We've also got many migrants from Eastern European countries coming in the 2000s, which have meant that cities in the east side of the city, in general, has kind of experienced this influx of Eastern European migrants, affecting those areas as well. You'll find more shops catering towards the Eastern Europeans and things like that. So there's been a movement of Eastern Europeans into the city. Obviously, we've got our study migration, so lots of young people. There's 78,000 students coming to the city. This is an increase of about 63% the last kind of 10-15 years, which is a huge amount. And then we have lots of people moving away from Birmingham in the form of older people, which is retirement migration. Obviously, there are some impacts of this. Migration shapes different areas, so you'll find places of worship in areas where international migration happens, and therefore they'll make those areas more diverse. And you've also got your more classic impacts, your negative impacts as well. Strain of healthcare, strain of education. Might not be enough school places or hospital beds and things like that to cater for a growing population, because the migration is quite rapid in Birmingham, and therefore you have to cater for all those extra new people, and it takes time to invest money and create the services to cater for those people. And obviously there's lots of overcrowding in housing, so there might be a shortage of housing in certain areas, which may cause some issues as well. So, but obviously having lots of migrants means that you have a young population, which means they're likely to work, and this can boost the economy and tax income, which is definitely a positive impact as well. So here are some of the questions that you can answer as well. And lastly, you need to always think about what the problem with using census data is. Census data is done every 10 years, and obviously it might be out of date after a while. People also answer these, and so it may be slightly inaccurate data if people aren't taking it completely seriously and things like that. Because often some people put their religion as Jedi and things like that, so they might just mislead for. So you can't always 100% trust it, because it is done by people, and we don't know how much of it is exactly accurate. So therefore, it is really important to understand that there are negatives with using census data.